you that if you don't go out and vote for the right person, you're going to lose democracy. With no evidence to back that claim, it's such an insane statement that they keep repeating over and over again, because regardless of what happens on Tuesday, their guy is still going to be president.
Yeah, they don't seem to mention that. All these other people besides Biden. And by other people, most of it is the news media, which is, as we've constantly told you, the biggest problem we have in this country. The news media immediately took up Biden's talking points or lecture points and ran with it. I mean, everywhere you looked yesterday, people were telling you the democracy is at stake.
It's insulting, frankly. Listen to MSNBC. Imagine being somebody with a mental health issue. You are paranoid, you have schizophrenia, like a serious mental health issue. Turning on your TV and hearing the MSNBC historian, the historian that they bring on panels to talk on MSNBC, say this.
And a historian 50 years from now, if historians are allowed to write in this country, and if there are still free publishing houses and a free press, which I'm not certain of, but if that is true, a historian will say what was at stake tonight and this week was the fact whether we will be a democracy in the future, whether our children will be arrested and conceivably killed. We're on the edge of a brutal authoritarian system, and it could be a week away.
A week away? Less than a week now. You people learn to vote right, which is voting left, or you just won't have a democracy left.
I can't decide if this is funny.
And they'll kill your kids.
Or if it's cruel. Yeah, they'll kill your kids.
The brutal authoritarians in the Republican Party. Yeah.
I mean, did you hear all the insane stuff that guy just said? If you don't go out and vote the right way on Tuesday, they're going to kill your kids. You're like, whoa, yeah, Kenny, what is that, from some podcast on motherjones.com? No, that's NBC News. What? Are you out of your flipping mind? Yeah, they actually are. Yeah.
It's Friday.
Work is done. Don't get ahead of yourself.
Why not?
Why not?
Why not? It is Friday, right?
Walton and Johnson Radio Network.
Gavin Newsom is warning Democrats that a red wave is coming, and he's the governor of California.
Well, by warning Democrats that the red wave is coming, he's basically saying, don't let it happen. He's to scare people into voting properly, doing as they're told.
Yeah, why don't people follow the instructions that are given to them by their government overlords?
I don't get it.
Have we not made it clear enough? Do what we tell you to do and shut your stupid mouths.
Exactly.
Or, we may have to take away, what is it they love? Netflix or whatever they love, we'll take it away.
Democracy is at stake in this election, Nevada.
He made it clear that democracy is at stake this November.
Democracy is at stake this November.
Democracy is at stake.
Our democracy is at stake.
The future of our democracy is at stake.
We all know democracy is at stake.
I got chills.
This is the most important election coming up because democracy is at stake.
Nothing less than the future of democracy is at stake.
Yeah, I'm beginning to get the impression that they're just reading from a script now.
You've had that impression for some time, though.
It's remarkable, isn't it?
It's so glaringly obvious, but it has been for years. They don't even care anymore. They used to try to mix it up a little bit, try to hide the fact that they're all just reading the talking points from their leadership. But now, I guess it's just so important, because Trump's like that great white that's just swimming somewhere offshore. Oh my God, it's so scary.
Yeah. You're seeing a real shift right now in the Republican Party, meanwhile, of who is in charge and where the influence and power is coming from. In New Hampshire, there's this very closely contested Senate race right now between Democrat Senator Maggie Hassan and GOP senatorial candidate General Don Bolduc. Now,
that's the guy that got hit, right? Or attacked or something.
He's the guy that he was getting funding from Mitch McConnell, and then he said he wouldn't support Mitch McConnell as leader of the Senate. So Mitch took all the funding away from him.
Yesterday, there was a story about a Republican getting attacked, kind of like Nancy Pelosi's husband in a way. And I think it was that Republican in that race that you're talking about.
Yeah, and it's interesting because Ron DeSantis has now come out in support of this guy. This guy lost the support of Mitch McConnell, and now Ron DeSantis is publicly supporting General Don Bolduc to be the next senator in New Hampshire. So you're seeing this power dynamic shifting from from the old GOP to the new GOP right before your very eyes.
All this change, of course, comes with some hard feelings and some awkward moments. You got to get through that. Yeah, you remember puberty, right? A little bit?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. Same thing.
Let's see. So a libertarian activist was accused of approaching Don Bolduc before the debate, causing a disturbance. He is now facing charges. This must be what you're talking about, right? But isn't it interesting? If you were a libertarian in New Hampshire, you're going to get the Democrat if you don't support the Republican. Which of the two of them do you think is more libertarian? The Republican. It's so obvious. One of these people wants to expand government. The other one wants it to be smaller. The guy that attacked him looks like a nut job, too. Have you seen a photo of the guy?
No. What's he doing?
Like a crazy, wearing sunglasses and smiling in his mugshot. Why is he allowed to wear sunglasses?
Good question.
In a mugshot?
They won't let you do that when you get your driver's license picture taken, much less prison photo.
Well, in New Hampshire,
they don't have rules.
He looks like, and I don't have a problem with redheaded people, but he looks like a bowl of spaghetti threw up. Like, because he's ginger-haired and then he's got, like, the acne all over his face. It's like, it's a weird there's nothing wrong with redheaded people, but, like, this guy with the way he's wearing it, it's an odd look, is my point.
And Kenny can get away with that because Kenny's stunningly handsome and dreamy.
Well, thank you. That's what our research shows.
According to the listeners that they've questioned, dreamy kept coming up,
But
you're going to get the big head, aren't you?
Maybe people said I was dreamy because they listened to the show early in the morning while they're still asleep.
Yeah, it's possible.
It might not have been as cool as we thought it was. That there's like, hey, dreamy. I'm a 40-year-old man. I didn't think anybody would be describing me that way at this point in my life. But, thank you. Hey, that reminds me, by the way, our research indicates that at this time of the day, there are the least amount of people listening. But the people that are listening to the show right now, we said this yesterday, and I will say it again. And I will not apologize to those of you listening to this later on the podcast either. The people listening to us right now at 5:40 in the morning here, 5:50, you are the best people.
The movers and shakers, the people that go out and get things done. And the best looking listeners. Easily. I mean, we've checked.
Best, smell the best.
Yep. It's not about quantity, it's about quality. We've always said that. And we're going to have to stick with it.
Most patient, most down to earth. If you're awake this early in the morning, I don't want to sound sensationalizing, but you are literally saving the world.
Yep.
And that's how I feel about you. You're the greatest person who ever lived.
Also, you're a threat to democracy, but you're going to have to live with that.
Yeah, but diversity is our strength. It's hard to keep track of the talking points.
And what's sad is with all the lack of education that goes on in our public school system for the last, several decades, I don't think the young people today that went through that and are now adults and get to vote, if they vote properly, I don't think they know the actual meaning of democracy. They keep hearing people throw the word around, and they think if you're a Democrat, then you must be for democracy. The two words sound so similar, but they're so far apart.
If you have to censor free speech in order to defend democracy, then you're not defending democracy. Democracy is the result of free speech. Free speech and democracy are paramount. They correlate. They run together in the same vein of your life, right? And if one of these things is removed from the other one, you don't have democracy.
A lot of young people right now, young adults, have never had to fight for their freedoms, their rights, their freedom of speech, and their right to carry a gun. They've never had to. Sometimes, though, eventually, it's happened in the past, it's going to happen in the future, you do have to fight for your right to not to party.
Yeah, but,
for free speech.
It's interesting because there seems to be more than one kind of democracy, like the Bolsheviks and the Ethiopians back in the day when they had communism, the Soviets, East Germany. That was one form of democracy, they claim. Of course, they were killing people in the streets and censoring speech and stuff. And then there's actual democracy, like the American, like a representative republic, what we have. And I assure you, these two things are not the same. When you hear your liberal government overlords talking about how democracy is at stake, they're not talking about the kind of democracy you think that they're talking about.
They're strictly talking about their own power.
That's it.
That's what's at stake. That's why they are so terrified right now of what might happen Tuesday.
So here's your homework today, kids. Get out there. Get a family member to vote. Get somebody to vote that wasn't going to vote. Call your aunt. You know, they extended the voting hours yesterday, from 7 to 10 in our town. And they just did it at the last minute. They just
Really?
They didn't
hear that announcement.
Yeah, no, most people didn't. They made the announcement about halfway through the day.
So while most Houstonians were distracted by the World Series between 7 and 10 p.m. last night, some reason the Democrats in charge decided that 3-hour window should be left open for who?
Exactly.
Maybe just for their friends?
When you hear people talk about how the 2020 election was rigged, they might be saying a lot of different things. They might be they're all making different points, right? But one of the points that people made about 2020 is that halfway through the election in municipal governments all over the country, they started changing the election rules.
Yeah, they didn't follow the rules. They just made them up as they went along, and you're supposed to be okay with that.
And Republicans tried to resist this. It's one of the reasons why they struggled in that election. Whether you think it was stolen from them or you think, oh, they just didn't play the game as well. Changing the rules halfway through the game, it's at best, it's unethical. At worst, it seems like it should be illegal.
Well, yeah, if the right people were in charge, it might be.
Yeah, good point.
Our diversity is our strength. Our diversity is our strength.
Our diversity, it is still and always will be one of our greatest strengths.
Our diversity is one of our greatest strengths.
Our diversity is our strength.
That our diversity is an enormous. Go. You know the thing.
Walton and Johnson.
Tommy just got his first $1, but what can that buy him if he saves with Community?
Hank, the announcer voice again.
I'm just trying to teach him how to save, because with Community Bank, all his moments in life are taken care of. Banking for life, Community Bank of Louisiana.
Control the high cost of medical care by joining a community of people that will not only share your beliefs, but also share your eligible medical expenses in your times of need. Visit libertyhealthshare.org for more information. Discover the power of sharing.
Did you hear that democracy is at stake?
No, what happened?
It's at stake.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, we were going to make them pork tenderloins, but then we just decided to go with the beefsteak. So that's good. It'll pair nice with the mashed potatoes we made.
Well, it's Friday. We can be all cheery about that. The Astros won last night. If you're not a Phillies fan, you can be all cheery about that. And that means they'll bring the World Series back to Houston for the last game or two, if necessary.
Hate to bring it up, but my theory still rings true. During and before the game, Lena tweeted nothing about the World Series.
And the Astros win again. Now, if you want the Astros to win, Lena cannot tweet or virtue signal or go on TV. The child socialist judge from Southeast Texas will ruin the World Series for Astros fans. Mess it up for everybody. All over the South.
I hear what you're saying. I hear your dog whistle, Kenny.
What's my dog whistle? What?
Well, I mean, it's obvious without saying it, right? That you want somebody to go duct tape her to a chair somewhere until the World Series is over.
No, I just don't want her to tweet. We wish no harm on elected officials. That's not what we do on this show.
Okay, do you think that's why Elon Musk gave everybody the day off today?
What a great boss. Guy just takes over the company, and he's already given all the Twitter employees the day off today. It's a 3-day weekend. That's a good guy right there.
What did they get the day off for? To vote or something?
Well, no, he told the Twitter employees, don't come to work today.
Oh.
But check your personal emails at sometime after 9 a.m., I think, Pacific time. And the reason he said check your personal emails and not your work email is because you might not have a work email anymore.
Okay.
If you're one of the people that he's sending out pink slips to. Elon said, everybody stay home until you're emailed and told whether you still have a job or not. And I think I heard some of these people are so upset. You know how quickly you can upset these youngsters.
Very quickly.
They're so upset that they've decided to sue the owner of the company, because who is he to decide who works here and who doesn't?
You know, it's an interesting point there. It sounds like apparently as chief twit, he gets to choose who has a job and who doesn't.
Whoa, that's not right. That's not fair.
Well,
everybody likes fair stuff, and fair is treating me special. That's how you do it.
Somebody said something interesting to me yesterday, is that most social media platforms are started in a garage, the successful ones, are started in a garage with 12 computer programmers, 12 coders, software coders, right? And then they become very successful. They go from being just an idea to something to multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar industry. And they move to a big ivory tower in a city, and they hire 3,000 HR employees. They hire 2,000 business managers, 9,000 sales guys, 24 personal chefs, and 12 coders.
Yeah. They still got the same number of coders.
Yep, they still got the same number of guys. And that's really it, right?
Now they got to figure out a way to spend all that money and use all that power that they have over people. Well, to all the Twitter employees who are afraid of losing their job, let me suggest this. Why don't you just go get another job? Well, that's what they told the Keystone Pipeline employees to do and anybody else in the oil and gas industry when they were told, you're fired. We don't need you. Those guys weren't allowed to sue their boss.
I think that when people were getting laid off from the coal industry back at the later years of the Obama administration, journalists from the Huffington Post told them to go learn to code.
Mm-hmm. Now, if they'd learned to code, they could be working at Twitter now and then probably get fired.
Well, yeah, maybe
that could be uneasy.
Right. Maybe the Twitter employees should go learn to mine coal. You know?
Yeah, let's do that.
You know, do something useful. Do we really need another Twitter? No, come on. But we do need coal. There's an energy crisis. Guys, there's not a shortage of social media platforms right now.
No, there ain't.
But there is a shortage of energy. So maybe mining coal, the very thing they told us that we shouldn't ever do, is exactly what we need to do?
Well, it sounds good on the surface. You know, when the president tells you how great an electric vehicle is and all the politicians get together and go, yeah, EVs, we need more EVs. Here's a little something they don't tell you. China is going to control the market on all the batteries for all the electric vehicles all over the planet. They probably already do, but it's just going to get worse, not better. So the more of you who strap yourself to an electric vehicle, China will decide whether your battery will ever be replaced or not, whether you can get one or not. That doesn't sound like the way you'd want to live your life, does it?
All right, now help me out here. China, that's the country where they're actively participating in child slave labor, and don't they have concentration camps there where they're trying to kill the Uyghur Muslims and commit genocide?
They do, but they're also up to some horrible things.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, in addition to those things, huh? Michael Moore is predicting Democrats will keep control of Congress. Is he just being optimistic here?
Probably.
There's no data that supports that theory.
But hey, the other side is doing what they can. Most of the Democrats are trying to scare their voters into showing up. They're afraid they might not go vote. And so they're telling them, well, Republicans are just going to take everything and they're going to ruin your life. They're going to kill your kids. They're going to force you to have a baby if you get pregnant. And they're going to do all kinds of terrible stuff. So you better go vote. Well, he's going the other direction.
All right, one other thing I did not expect to happen in this election cycle. Oprah has weighed in on the Pennsylvania Senate race.
Well, it's about damn time. How are we going to go vote early if Oprah won't tell us who to vote for?
Surprisingly, didn't she do TV with Dr. Oz for years?
Oh, yeah, for probably 20 years. They've known each other in a business relationship. So I guess that's why she had to come out and support her buddy.
She's supporting John Fetterman.
What?
Yeah, John Fetterman has been endorsed. Oprah endorses Fetterman over Dr. Oz.
Does she even know him? I mean, maybe she's known Dr. Oz long enough to know she don't like him.
Well,
I don't know. But does she know anything about Fetterman at all? Or does she just think he's cool because he wears a hoodie?
That was my first thought. But by the way, a black Republican pointed this out to me yesterday. Could you imagine if there was a black political candidate walking around in a hoodie and a pair of basketball shorts? How would people react? And in my head, I thought, wait, he's right. Wait a second. Fetterman is doing something that even the liberal media would not allow a black politician to do.
No, and then they also stealing their, I forget what it's called when you dress up like an Indian and you're not one.
Cultural appropriation.
Yeah, he's appropriating.
He really is appropriating. But back to the Oprah thing for a second. Oprah doesn't want to endorse Dr. Oz, a liberal Republican who supports abortion, gun control, vaccines, the lockdowns, Obamacare, but he's got an R behind his name.
Yep, that's all she knows about him now.
What is it about Dr. Oz that you didn't want to endorse? By political standards, he seems to support all the things you like. You told us for years he was a great medical expert and TV doctor, but he's got an R behind his name. Have we really become so tribalistic that you wouldn't support your moderate political friend in a campaign against a guy whose brain is clearly broken?
Maybe that's it. Maybe it's the mental handicap. You know, they encouraged businesses for years to get one of those stickers at the front door that says, "We hire the handicapped." Maybe that's what Oprah's pushing for Washington, D.C. That's pretty much all we hire in D.C. is the handicapped.
You know, you make a great point there, because she also endorsed Biden. And you know, that reminds me, speaking of the Biden administration and people that you wouldn't expect to get an endorsement from, guess who's stumping for Lena today?
Stumping? You mean jumping up on a stump to try to get some attention?
Are you not familiar? Stumping is a political word for...
I actually had to explain that to a youngster yesterday. Well, stumping, it's an old folks, you know, like our age. Yeah.
Stumping is when you go out and campaign for a candidate. It's
they used to, in the olden days, get up on a stump so they could be above the crowd. Everybody could see them and hear them because they had something to say.
Yeah, and nowadays you can just tweet or do a podcast or
Sure.
You don't need an actual tree stump. But you're right, that's where the term comes from, Billy Ed.
But who's doing it now?
Kamala.
For who?
Lena Hidalgo.
It's important to the National Democratic Party.
Always has been.
For little Lena to just run this one county.
I don't think people outside of Texas realize how important Lena Hidalgo is to the National Political Democrat Party. Kamala Harris, Hillary Clinton, Nancy Pelosi have all recently invested time in supporting Lena Hidalgo's campaign. Jane Fonda, Will Ferrell, who is the other one? Lin-Manuel Miranda, the guy from Hamilton. Why is Lena so important? Why is it so important to all of those people that don't live in Texas that we have a local political leader who won't keep violent criminals in jail? Because they want her to run for governor in 4 years.
I don't know what's happened to Kenny, but you just started reading off all those names, and now I'm feeling really sick to my stomach. I think I may need to throw up.
No!
Is it safe to say that based off of your comments, you're suggesting that these women at these abortion rallies are ugly and overweight?
Yes.
What do you say to people who think that those comments are offensive?
Be offended.
Walton and Johnson Radio Network.
These companies like GM, Pfizer, Audi are pulling their advertisements from Twitter because a centrist climate change activist who loves free speech bought the platform.
They are listed on TV now. And to me, that's just a nice list of companies that I can no longer do business with.
You're not going to like this, Billy Ed. Mondelez International Incorporated. Probably doesn't mean much to you.
I don't know what the hell that is.
The maker of Oreos.
You know what? Maybe it's just about time for me to just let go. I've been telling y'all for years how they've screwed up their product. It's just not the same. I'm just not going to buy a bag of those Oreos anymore that don't have the right product in them. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
I got a lot of folks at my house that love to eat Oreos.
Is there a little Dutch girl?
I got a nice, good-sized woman there. And,
sure.
And the kids come by from time to time, and then there's me. But we're just not going to do it anymore if that's the way Oreo wants to act.
Oreo was supposed to be a snack for Southern men.
That's right.
And their Southern families.
And then they moved the factory to Mexico, and then they start siding with a bunch of dang commies. I'm just fed up with it. I'm just not going to have it anymore.
What?
I'll tell you what. You know what? I ought to call the company and tell them what I think, but you think they'd care?
Do you understand how insane this is, guys? Elon Musk isn't some right-wing zealot. Did you know he supports a carbon tax? Did you know? He's a climate change activist. He created Tesla.
He goes both ways. He goes and does whatever the hell he feels. He doesn't just stick with what the lane he has been assigned. It's like, well, is he a Republican or a Democrat?
He's a moderate.
Depends on the issue, doesn't it?
He's very outspoken about being a centrist. He supports gun rights and free speech. He loves...
Well, you got to have one to have the other.
He loves flamethrowers. He's concerned about carbon pollution. He's completely fine with social welfare. Hang on a minute here. This doesn't sound like some MAGA guy or even the alt-right.
The minute he said he was going to take over Twitter, they immediately turned on him like a pit bull because you had some raw meat on you. They don't care what else he stands for. It's that one thing that bothers him. He's messing with Twitter. And how do you think AOC and all the other little idiots out there like her, how do you think they feel knowing that the thousands of dollars that they paid for their Tesla helped him buy Twitter?
Oh, it's the best.
Now their heads are exploding.
AOC drives a Tesla. I mean, and she hates Elon Musk because he bought Twitter, and he's going to charge her $8 to have a blue check by her name. When does the stupidity stop?
Great thing about that blue check is she doesn't want to pay the $8. She wants to be special without having to actually buy her specialness. And he's already told him, well, then don't pay for it.
Right.
You don't want the blue check, don't pay for it. They want it.
Yeah, and by the way, she has a Twitter account with like 8 million followers. Does anyone think she's going to stop tweeting? Now her latest thing is she claims that Elon has hacked into her phone.
God.
You think I'm making this up?
Now, when the government hacks into your phone, which they obviously do, and your Alexa, if you still have one of those government listening posts, that's fine. The government, well, you know you can trust them, but you can't trust the maniac like Elon.
AOC posted this insane video online where she's eating chicken nuggets, and they're little nuggets, but she's not just popping them in her mouth. She's picking them apart while she complains about how Elon hacked into her phone. And this is a real thing. People are going to think we're playing a parody or a comedy bit. AOC actually did this yesterday.
I was at a community event in the Bronx in Co-op City, and when I get home, I see a text from my team saying, hey, let me know if you need any help with this Elon stuff. And I was like, what? So I pull up my Twitter app, and it's like gone. Like when you pull up your mentions and stuff like that, it's just like literally like a blank screen. Totally gone.
Oh my God.
And I was like, that's weird. So it turns out we got under a certain little billionaire skin.
Is it possible?
God, she's just so full of self-satisfaction. And she eats nuggets wrong.
Right.
I mean, if you had nothing against her other than that, watching her eat a chicken nugget tells you she is from an alien race.
Right, that's the thing you can't see on the radio. In that video we just watched,
she holds it in one hand, and then she pulls little strands of chicken off the nugget and then eats that. You couldn't even see it. It's like she pulled a hair off of her nugget and ate it.
Yeah, if you're eating popcorn-sized shrimp, you're just supposed to pop them in your mouth. You're not supposed to pick them apart.
You think she does that with little kernels of popcorn, and you're watching a movie? Does she take the kernel individually and then just nibble a corner off of it?
I mean, obviously,
I take like as many as I can get in my hand, shove them all in my mouth.
We were just talking about this the other day. Did you ever put candy in your popcorn?
Of course. Chocolate. I don't put all that other crazy stuff in there. Chocolate goes with popcorn. That's just the way it is.
I like to put a few Sour Patch Kids in there.
You said.
But getting back to AOC here, I have I have a picture on my screen here of what she claims is happening with her Twitter app. Basically, the Twitter app's just not loading anything when she goes into her notifications. Is it possible she just needs to reconnect her Wi-Fi?
Like she'd rather you assume that she's a victim. They love to be victims, don't forget. And that the reason she's been victimized by this evil, brutal dictator at Twitter is because she has rattled his cage. She's got under his skin. Do you think he gives two craps what AOC thinks or does on a daily basis?
No, but it's starting to become obvious she might want to have sex with him. I mean, after all, AOC said that Republicans who hate her just want to have sex with her.
Oh, yeah.
And she hates Elon Musk, so by her own logic,
she must want to, to get the old
What? Never mind. Oh.
She wants to stroke his big, massive SpaceX rocket.
Is that what the picture of that rooster was all about on her page there?
No, that's just what Twitter looks like when you don't have any notifications. There's like a chicken, and it says...
Oh, there's a rooster.
And it says, you'll have news here soon. Okay.
He was crowing.
Fine, rooster it is, Billy. I appreciate that. But the point is this. Elon claims none of this is true. And frankly, I believe him. Why would he hack into her Twitter? Why would he care?
Exactly. But she wants her listener or followers to think she's that important that he might care.
And right before all this happened, she drove a Tesla. She voted to support SpaceX. She's like, wait a second. So the reason you don't like Elon Musk is because he bought Twitter and said there will be slightly less censorship now?
That's it.
That's it. That's all it is. That's all this is about. Living in a world where we don't have thought control over the peasants. And by the way, that blue check mark, what really is that? That's just like the difference between the lords and the serfs. What is that blue check mark even? Look, these are the very important people whose opinions are... These are the pseudo-celebrities, and you're just some regular nobody.
Yeah.
We have a blue check mark on the Walton & Johnson account.
Oh, well, then we just proved it's valueless. It's worth nothing.
I think it's hurting our credibility, Billy Ed.
Yeah. Can we uncheck it?
If they'll give us the ability to remove it from our account, I support it. I endorse it. Take it away. Make us like the regular people.
Speaking of supporting and endorsing stuff, do you like to sign petitions?
Who doesn't love a petition?
Well, this is a good one, I think. After the love that Master Smack has shown the city of Houston.
Mattress Mac.
Yeah, Mattress Mac. Master Smack is his...
That's his rap name.
His new...
I thought it was Lil Mattress.
Hard. It's his hard-hitting, from the hood, MC Master Smack, title now.
MC Posturpedic.
After all he's done for the city of Houston and the Astros and all this and all of his energy and all of his love, there is a petition that started up yesterday, I think, going around just to have Mattress Mac throw out the first pitch at Game 6 Saturday of the World Series. And I think it'd be a great thing. Now, I checked, and as far as I can tell, they've already got a guy chosen to go throw out Game 6, the ceremonial first pitch. He's not actually going to throw one to Schwarber, because that boy will jack him. Hakeem Olajuwon.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if he would have to step down, or couldn't they just have two ceremonial first pitches? Two guys loved by the city of Houston, Master Smack and Hakeem Olajuwon.
Well, you remember they asked us to throw out the first pitch one time for LSU night at the Astros game, and I remember that there were like 9 people that threw out a first pitch.
Yeah, we did it, but we also did it with a guy from the military, one of the Girl Scout troops. They had somebody come out and represent them.
Yeah, that Girl Scout really had an arm on her. Frankly, it was kind of embarrassing for me.
There was some lady in like a gingham dress that had written a cookbook or something, and she got that honor as well.
Absolutely. Well, she's good with the butcher knife, so you're going to want her to throw a pitch.
Hi, my name is Alyssa, and I'm 9 years old, and I get my education from
Walton and Johnson.
Give it a little tribute to Master Smack this morning, and encouraging you to see if you can find that petition and get on it.
Yeah, he is probably the coolest Anglo Cholo who ever lived.
Rolling like a cholo. And I love, by the way, good morning, happy Friday. I love the new image that is going around everywhere of Mattress Mac looking all hard with his gold chains and his head rag and stuff. Oh, it's fabulous. I wish I knew who was responsible for that great piece of artwork.
That was our buddy Landon who created that.
We know the guy?
Yeah, I remember he was at my 40th birthday party. He's the cop. He does all the flyers and graphics for our events.
I chatted with him.
The guy
he made the Mattress Mac.
The meme that's going around where he looks like a cholo, yeah.
I already saw one friend of mine on Facebook who had that image put on a T-shirt. I don't know if Landon owns it. I mean...
Landon made the graphic, and then a certain radio show host down the hall made them into T-shirts.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you heard about that or not.
Do we owe Landon money if we wear that or use it in some way?
I think they're selling them now, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, but Landon's not getting any of that money, is he? Probably. Well, let's see.
I think they might be doing it for. I think they might be doing it for charity, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know the details. Yeah, I have no idea. They're doing something. Anyway, exciting news, guys. And for the record, we are just glad to be Americans at this point in time because it's such an exciting moment here.
Well, because we don't know how much longer this democracy will last.
We don't know.
I heard it's at stake.
Is it?
I heard democracy was at stake.
That's it. It's at stake. Yeah.
Democracy is at stake in this election, Nevada.
He made it clear that democracy is at stake this November.
Democracy is at stake this November.
Democracy is at stake.
Our democracy is at stake.
The future of our democracy is at stake.
Oh,
We all know democracy is at stake.
we know.
This is the most important election coming up because democracy is at stake.
Nothing less than the future of democracy.
My favorite thing about this montage, we have a video of all of them saying this.
Oh, and it could go on for a while, but if you just start getting sick of hearing it.
Yeah, it's Obama and a bunch of other people, but when they get to the part in the montage where it's Al Franken, he's on that TV show on Bravo with Andy Cohen, and he's sitting on a couch next to a bondage boy in a Leatherman outfit.
Oh, how fabulous.
I know. It's like, what the hell? What, you're having this conversation with that guy? I don't...
Well, explaining that our democracy is at stake.
Boy, that Al Franken has really fallen from grace, hasn't he?
Well, he didn't have far to fall. Dave emailed us, and he said, with respect to the democracy at stake chanting, I submit they are speaking the truth. Like in 2020, before the election, the chant was, if you remember from the Democrats, count every vote. Make sure and count every vote. They were telegraphing what they were planning on doing when they flooded the system with a bunch of bogus votes, stuffing the boxes, finding them underneath the tables late at night. Well, now the chant is telegraphing their plan for this election. They always blame the other side for what they are doing or planning to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, democracy is at stake.
Listen,
just don't let these bastards out there projecting their intent on the opposition take it away from you.
I've noticed a lot of the Twitter employees that just got laid off took to Twitter to complain about getting laid off. These people got 14 weeks of severance. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Listen to this one from some girl named Isley. She says, I just got laid off from Twitter this morning with no notice. Well, why would you get notice?
I think they gave them notice yesterday to check and see. That was kind of a warning flag.
And then you got severance. The severance is it's not like you just got fired and they kicked you out and were like, never come back. If you get severance, especially 14 weeks, that means you have months to find a job, right? Like that. You're not a victim. You have months to... You could do nothing for months and get the same pay.
Exactly.
You could just sit at home and watch TV. Go home, relax. You're still going to get paid. That's amazing that we're supposed to feel sorry for these people. I mean, God, how many people out there would have loved to have that much severance the last time they got... Mean Elon Musk fired these people, but he's going to keep paying them for months. Mm-hmm. It kind of changes things, doesn't it?
And as far as your little thoughts on AOC there, I think it's pretty obvious to us, all of our listeners, the whole end game, the entire reason Elon Musk spent $50-something billion, he lusts for that big, juicy booty. He can't get enough, and he's got to get up close to it. That big, is it a Puerto Rican juicy booty that she's always talking about?
Look at that big ass. Look at that big, juicy booty.
The best part is
Elon has to have it.
He never even said that to her. That soundbite was her explaining how our friend comedian Alex Stein was harassing her
on the steps going to work. Now that Alex Stein fella, I just heard recently somewhere that he was going to be working here in the Houston area.
That's correct. The comedian that AOC is complaining about in that soundbite is headlining our Christmas show.
Oh, that's right. That's where we heard it.
Yeah.
We heard it here.
Walton and Johnson, or the Walton and Johnson Radio Network, is throwing a comedy show Saturday, December 3rd. It's free. You just make a $40 donation to Wheelchairs for Warriors. Now, I want to make it clear here. Don't just go to their page and click the quick donate button.
No.
Scroll down and you'll see that there's a special page on their website for this comedy show. It's Operation Comedy Therapy, hosted by Kenny Webster and the Walton and Johnson crew with Alex Stein, Jesse Payton, Tim Mathis, and Eric Knowles. He's one of the veterans of comedy.
And you've probably heard some of these guys work before, and you might not even know it. Maybe the names didn't, immediate. It's not like Dave Chappelle or something, but they're funny. Some of them were at the last one, which was, a year ago or more?
Yeah, the opening act.
They were good.
Eric Knowles, you've probably never heard of. Now, he is a Marine. He is a member of the military, and he started a group called the Veterans of Comedy. And it's just what it sounds like. Just like Wheelchairs for Warriors, the Veterans for Comedy is exactly what you think. Tim Mathis and Jesse Payton are well-known comics. They tour around to comedy clubs. Right. Both of them are from Houston. Both of them do the national club circuit. Alex Stein just signed a new contract with Blaze Media, and he is blowing up right now. He's huge. He's one of the most controversial comedians in America.
It's all because of the juicy booty.
That's it.
Which he never said. She just said that about herself. I went to the Wheelchairs for Warriors website yesterday, and I just happened to notice they put a little word out for those of you who are hesitating to donate. And by the way, I love that they said it's not about making a donation, it's about making a difference. And they wanted you to know they currently have 7 warriors on their waiting list who deserve the freedom and independence of a custom-built wheelchair that Wheelchairs for Warriors provides, but they need our help. We need to donate because these wheelchairs are a little pricey. Help them reach their goal by the end of the year to present these 7 warriors with their independence and their wheels.
Right. If Joe Biden's federal government would step it up, there wouldn't be a need for this. But sadly, there is. The same people that botched the Afghanistan withdrawal and are now dropping giant turds all over Ukraine are the reason why we can't get wheelchairs for military veterans at VA hospitals around the country.
Well, if you don't like the way they handle those things, what they would say to you is, well, how about a little amnesty? You didn't like the way they handled COVID? Just give them some amnesty. The withdrawal, everything this government has been doing for the last couple of years, they'd just like you to get over it.
So right before the election, we need to forgive them for the pandemic. We need to forgive them for inflation. We need to know that democracy is at stake, even though it's not. Voting is literally democracy. And now they want to be forgiven for not taking care of the vets?
And back to AOC for just a second. She's not a capitalist, right?
Well, not in name, but in practice.
She supposedly loves her some Bernie Sanders, who always tells us how horrible capitalism is.
You're talking about 2 millionaires.
One of our listeners just emailed us a link to shop at the AOC store.
Right. This is a thing that gets brought up a lot.
You can buy her merch online almost as though she were a capitalist.
And her hoodies are really expensive. Aren't they like $75 or something like that?
Lord.
She sells on her website a hoodie that looks like it's a communist revolutionary thing with the upside down exclamation marks, like Che Guevara made the graphic for her.
You can literally buy a tax the rich hat at this non-capitalist's website.
$40.
Look at that big ass. Look at that big juicy booty.
You know me. It's my duty to please that booty. Walton and Johnson Radio Network.
Look at that big ass. Look at that big juicy booty.
New from the makers of Grand Theft Auto and Frogger, it's Call of Booty. You think you've mastered every kind of simulation game? Well, here's a game of stimulation.
Is this some sort of a driving game?
No way! You gotta drive your way to first base with the girl of your dreams, but first you gotta ask her out.
The only girl I've ever asked out was my mom.
Fight your way through the office Christmas party, past the old lady in HR to your office crush, the female intern.
Can you show me how to use the copy machine?
Quick jump before you get stuck in the friend zone. Oh no, she invited me to her sister's wedding, and I think she introduced me as her pal.
Friend zone.
Quick, use a combo move. Up, up, down, left, right. Yes, I complimented her shoes. Now, ask her how her day was at work and how she feels about her female coworkers.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it says I won. but I don't understand. I'm just sitting here watching her talk.
Yeah, that sounds like you're in a relationship to me, buddy.
Call of Booty and Call of Booty 2, The Rebound, in stores now. Get some!
Look at that big ass.
Yeah, look at that juicy booty.
Look at
I
that.
believe y'all was probably calling me up in here, right?
Yeah.
I looks like I made it just in time, too.
We were. Good morning, Mr. O. How art thou?
I'm good. Real quick, Astros won last night, in case you missed that. So they got the lead. They're bringing it back to H-Town. Get down tomorrow night. Could wrap it all up. Or the way the series has been going, as you may have noticed, is Phillies, then Houston, and then Phillies, and then Houston.
Okay.
And then
But now it's been Houston twice in a row.
So, if they taking turns, it looks like it could go 7. But either way, I'm here to solve a problem. And the problem is what we going to do about Match with Mac.
Sports.
Brought to us by the Silver Slipper Casino, home of Big Johnson.
Yeah, get some. Go there to South Mississippi and enjoy the Silver Slipper Casino and their fantastic steakhouse, the Blue Bayou. Is that what it's called?
You want to find out about how you can, hang with us here in a couple of weeks? You can go to that website and check it out. I bet they got some stuff in there about that.
We're going to be broadcasting live from the Silver Slipper Casino. And you were saying something about a local guy who sells mattresses.
Yeah, Master Smack, y'all call him Mattress Mac, Master Smack, sound the same, don't it? I'm a problem solver. A lot of people want Mattress Mac now to throw out the ceremonial first pitch, Game 6, tomorrow night.
Okay.
They already got Hakeem Olajuwon.
Yeah.
You said that good.
Yeah, he changed his name. While he was still playing, for the Rockets, he was Hakeem.
Okay.
Coming out of college, and then years later, he kind of like Tony Dorsett became Tony Dorsett. He became Hakeem. Here's the problem with Olajuwon already told he's throwing out the ceremonial first pitch. What we're going to do with Mattress Mac? How about this? Instead of having 2 ceremonial pitches, because, that takes a little steam out of it, why don't we tell Olajuwon he can get out on the mound, and then Mattress Mac will throw him the ball, and then he can throw the first pitch. See what I'm saying?
Maybe Hakeem Olajuwon could do, what's it called, an alley-oop with the baseball?
But that's kind of like what I'm saying. He gets feed. Mattress Mac feeds him the ball,
right,
and then he does the pitch.
And then it would combine 2 worlds of 3, right? Mattresses, baseball, and basketball, and that would be inclusive. And it's important to be inclusive.
That's all I'm seeing. I'm seeing the diversity, which is our strength, by the way. From an old white dude to the brother to whoever's catching. I don't know who they're gonna have, catching for that, but it won't be a black man. At least not American-born black man, because they don't get on the field.
Yeah,
not during the game for the Astros or the Phillies.
No, it's a tough time to be a black man in America.
Isn't it funny how they delineate that? There's no American-born black guys on the field, but the guy who was throwing the no-hitter night before last
is a black guy.
It's a black guy.
Yeah.
If the cops shot him, the news would not tell you, well, he's not an American-born black man, so we don't need to be upset about that. He would have been black all day.
Also, how many...
But not now.
How many of the Hispanic players were American-born?
Uh-huh.
I mean, how many? Do you know?
Also, I did ask the question. Nobody seems to know, but I think I guessed the answer. How many American-born white guys played in the last NBA championship?
Not a lot.
Not a lot.
No.
And, how many played in the Super Bowl?
Guys, we can't...
Not a lot.
If they actually had affirmative action, if they actually had equal opportunity in sports, as the left is now complaining about in baseball, they would hate it. Do you understand? 75% of the NFL are black guys. The NBA, probably even higher.
Oh, yeah.
If we went out and we were like, all right, for every black guy, there needs to be a Jew, there needs to be an Asian.
The last thing they want is diversity or equity in our sports.
And for the record, it would be boring.
It would.
I wouldn't watch. I would rather, leave the black guys in there. They're better at it than the Jewish kid. Sorry, Jewish kid. You're not as good at slam dunking as the black kid is. And, everybody's got strengths. Diversity is our strength.
Oh, I forgot to mention this because I know nobody in Houston noticed, but the Texans lost last night.
The who? Didn't even know we had a football team.
He's trying to undermine the media, trying to make up his own facts, and it could be that he could have undermined the messaging so much that he can actually control exactly what people think, and that is our job.
Yeah. Walton and Johnson.
At Family Dollar, you'll find even more ways to save, like our digital smart coupons, including the Saturday Savings Pass. Explore our app and find additional discounts to stack savings on top of savings. Family Dollar, helping you do more.
Control the high cost of medical care by joining a community of people that will not only share your beliefs, but also share your eligible medical expenses in your times of need. Visit libertyhealthshare.org for more information. Discover the power of sharing.
Your mini-me is just like you. They look the same, talk back the same, and as little humans, their days can get pretty hectic too. Luckily, Ollie has yummy, gummy vitamins and supplements that are easy to love. From daily multivitamins to sleep and mood support, we've got all the essentials for you and your little crew. Find all of our kids' gummies at ollie.com.
Greetings, kids. Thanks for getting up with us this morning.
Now that we found out AOC's got a store with merch, and I guess we already knew it, but we tend to forget stuff. Don't feel so bad about telling everybody the Walton Johnson store is open. And we got merch. You can go to waltonjohnson.com, and there's the button there where you can go shopping.
And similarly, if you're looking for, if you're having trouble finding the link to tickets for our comedy show December 3rd, we just shared the link to the Walton and Johnson Facebook page.
Oh, well, that was very well planned. I like that.
So it's right there at the top of the screen. Easy as pie to go find, and if you give me a few minutes, I'll share it to the other platforms as well.
Also, at that waltonjohnson.com, you can find other ways besides just the radio to listen to the show.
Like what, for example?
Well, if you say you moved away and you live in Colorado or Montana or Wyoming, good call. Get away from this crime for one thing.
But you still want good radio.
Sure. Yeah. You can go to the website, check out all the different affiliates we're on in the different markets, and you can listen to their internet feeds. You can get on the iHeart app. They got ways to listen there. I mean, all kinds of good ways. And then there's our app, which is good for listening later after the show is over. You can do all that good stuff. Won't it be fun? Oh, by the way, speaking of that crime, I don't know if you've heard the latest. 3 of the top 10 unsafest cities in America are all in Louisiana.
They're all in Louisiana.
3? I figured New Orleans.
New Orleans.
New Orleans, Baton Rouge. Anybody guess City 3?
Shreveport.
There it is. Good old Shreveport. The top 10 list is out, and the 10 unsafest cities. Got the list here somewhere. You know who else is in there? And that's not good. Jackson, Mississippi is number 2.
It's a tough town, yeah. I mean, if you don't live in the part with all the politicians and lobbyists, it's a little rough there. I'm curious, what kind of politician, which political party is in charge of the city of Jackson?
Oh, there's probably no way to know.
I think
well, there is. Yeah, okay, you can just look it up. Democrat.
What about which political party's in charge in New Orleans?
Democrat.
And are they new? Did they just take over?
No,
they've been in charge.
Been in charge for a long time. But the most dangerous city listed is St. Louis, Missouri.
I believe it. I've been there recently. It's a rough town.
And then the rest of the top 10, Jackson, Mississippi, number 2. Detroit, sure. New Orleans, 4. Baltimore, 5. Then we got Memphis and Cleveland. Baton Rouge checks in at 8. Kansas City, Missouri,
Democrats,
as opposed to St. Louis at number 9. Democrats. And then good old Shreveport.
Democrats. Every city on the list is controlled by Democrats?
It does look that way.
There's not one city on the list where Republicans are in charge of the local mayoral office or the city council.
Interesting.
Every single time. And then the 3 of those cities are in the state of Louisiana. Now, what political party is their governor?
And 4 of those cities are currently trying to improve the situation by broadcasting the Walton and Johnson show. If just we could encourage more people to find it and listen to it daily.
I know we have listeners in Shreveport. I know we have listeners in Jackson, in Baton Rouge. But I get the impression a lot of our listeners in those parts of the country live just outside of Shreveport, just outside of Jackson.
I heard that.
And the liberal media will call that quote-unquote white flight, but we know even that is kind of a racist way of explaining it, because it's not just white people leaving these violent, dangerous cities.
Nope.
But at the same time, you also wonder if quote-unquote is quote-unquote white flight helping the quote-unquote white people? Okay, you've moved outside the city. Now you can't vote in the city. And oh, by the way, the crime in the city still affects you out in the suburbs.
Oh, yes, it does, because where do criminals go to do crime? They don't rob poor people. They don't rob each other very often. They like to try to find the people with good stuff,
right,
and then take it.
Yeah, it's surprisingly safe in the ghetto because there's nobody to rob there. Basically, the ghetto is just where you go to buy and sell crack. The robberies certainly are people from the ghetto, but they go to other places to commit those crimes. And this isn't my opinion. This is
that's the way it happens.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, because we're trying to get people to vote, like just by telling them on the radio, get out there and vote.
Yeah, because I heard somewhere democracy was at stake.
Yeah, I heard that too. But apparently that's not the only way to get people to vote. There are some people that pay you to vote.
Oh, well, wait. I should have waited.
I know.
How much are they offering? And do they offer more the later it gets?
Apparently, you have to vote for certain people to benefit from this.
Yes, we will raise taxes.
Yes,
we will.
Look, when one of your Republican colleagues gets on the show, do you say, "Are you a capitalist?" Have you ever referred to them as capitalists?
Yeah. Are you a capitalist?
No. I'm a democratic socialist.
Is it off-brand for a democratic socialist to live in a mansion like the White House?
Well, I would consider it more like public housing. We went further than any time in recent history in improving health care to the men and women of this country who put their lives on the line to defend us.
Now look at him honky. That ain't the way I do it. I'm living off the system with my EBT. I ain't working. That's the way I do it. I get my money for voting. Bring that check to me. Hell no, I ain't working. That's the way I do it. Let me tell you something. I might sound dumb. My little sister, she a working at a welfare. My little sister, she got 15 sons. Ain't gotta steal no microwave ovens and go to prison and turn gay. I come to get my reparations. I come to get my color-free bees. See that little cracker while he's cashing his a paycheck. Hey, little honky, bring it over here. That white devil, he a riding at a guilt train. That little pinky, he a thousandaire. Ain't gotta rob no stupid-ass honkies and go to prison and turn gay. I'm gonna get my reparations. I come to get my color-free bees.
Apparently, you could just get paid to vote.
I am just now learning this.
Why aren't we cashing in on this?
It's probably too late for most of us. We voted early.
Because I don't know about you guys, but I like money.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, do you like money?
Oh, I'm pretty fond of it. I don't let it run my life like some people do, but yeah.
No, I like getting paid to do things that are easy. Is there... Could someone pay us to vote, or... No?
Nobody seems to be offering.
Nobody's offering us anything. It's unfair, frankly.
And I know the Walter Johnson Show is on the record for many, many years saying, just cut us in, and we'll shut up about all this. But the cut got to be fat. You know what I'm saying? It's got to be a fat cut.
Now, if they're not offering you money to vote, is that racist?
Yes, it is racist.
It's almost as racist as swimming.
So it's always so interesting when you hear people talking about, oh, black folks can't swim, and it's like, that's because of racism.
What?
I've heard the argument before is because black people, they didn't grow up with access to the pool in their neighborhood, or even better, the pool in their own backyard like every white guy apparently did. No. I didn't grow up with access to a pool right down the street or in my own backyard or none of my friends.
No.
But I did learn to swim, even though it's racist now. I didn't know it then.
Also, black people can swim. I've seen it. I have the black people I know all know how to swim.
I learned to swim in the Colorado River. And I'll never forget the day I was a youngster. My daddy picked me up by the seat of my pants, and he tossed me as far as he could out into that river. And he said, "Boy, you best make it back to shore, or it's the last mama's ever gonna see of you."
And he just threw you in the river.
I splashed around, and I finally figured out how to swim back to shore.
So that's how white people teach their kids to swim?
I will tell you this. Not a racist issue at all. It's just about having somebody to help you. My daddy has often told me that if there's any little black kids out there that don't know how to swim, he will happily throw them in the river too.
Do you want to become a shock jock? Is that what you want? Walton and Johnson Radio Network.
It's time for another edition of course, but.
Well, of course. But.
Of course. Of course. That guy that murdered Gabby Petito is awful. Of course.
Well, of course he is.
Of course. But it's not the cops' fault.
Well, no. And the reason that's come up now is because Gabby
Petito.
Petito. I wanted to make sure I said her name right.
Right.
Ms. Petito, who was murdered. Her parents have now filed lawsuit against the police
in Utah. Right.
If you'll, maybe you don't remember the story, the police stopped them or chatted with them while they were on the side of the road, and they were parked there because they were having a big fight.
Right. You guys remember we used to talk about Gabby Petito every day on this show.
Yeah, because she's cute and white.
Well, I mean, yeah. It was last year. And so this woman was she from Florida or was her boyfriend from Florida?
Yeah, one or the other.
That was Brian Laundrie, right? The two of them went on a road trip together in like a van, a customized van. And this is a thing that a lot of young people do now. They start an Instagram account, and we're gonna document our adventures. It's our story. It's our journey across from each national park and each touristy town with nightclubs in it. And and it's not her fault that she got murdered. It's horrible that she got murdered.
But she was hanging out with this guy in this van driving around, and they got into a fight, and now I guess the parents are saying the police should have protected her. But in the interview, which is videoed on the cops' body cam, she's not asking them to rescue her. She didn't jump in the police car and say, "Take me away from this maniac. I'm in fear for my life." That was her opportunity. If she wanted to get away from him, cops were there. She could have said, I need help. I need protection. She could have just gone and driven away with them. She didn't do none of that. But her parents are very sad, and this is the way they feel like they can take it out on somebody.
Gabby and Brian are seen in this video. Before she disappears, they get into an argument in Utah, and the cops show up and start asking them both questions about their domestic dispute. And it's determined, the cops use discretion. It's called using discretion. It's determined that, yes, this young couple had a fight with each other. She's crying, he's apologetic, fine, whatever. She doesn't appear to be in any harm. She's not injured. And at the time, she's basically saying, I mean, the impression I get, and I haven't watched the whole video, who has, but it appears as though she's saying, we had a fight, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
We'll get over it.
And so the cops let the two of them go. They get in the van together and leave. Remember that these are adults. I know they're young adults, right? But they're adults. And then they go off and get into another fight where apparently he accidentally murders her, or he's hitting her and he goes a little too, however you define that.
He killed her.
Yeah, he murdered her.
Yep.
Yeah, you could say, was it negligible? Was it on purpose? I don't know. I wasn't there. But he certainly murdered her. And then he's on the run and he disappears. And then finally they find his dead body somewhere because he committed suicide. The whole story is tragic. But now her parents are suing those Utah police that used discretion during that traffic stop out in the middle of the desert for $15 million.
If they'd have done what it is they think they should have done, they would probably be suing them now for something else.
Right.
For being too heavy-handed, for separating them or whatever they would have done. They shouldn't have done that. Well, sue the bastards.
My heart aches for her parents. Gabby Petito's parents.
It's got to be just horrible. Unimaginable to have your child taken from you that way.
Until we brought up Gabby Petito today, because it's in the news, I bet a lot of average Americans who were maybe even obsessed with this news story a year ago, treated it like a murder mystery drama, forgot about Gabby Petito. But her parents never forgot. Their life has been a living hell this whole time. But is it the cops' fault?
No.
Did the cops
there were multiple opportunities for her to be rescued, to ask to be rescued, to ask to be helped. None of that happened. They didn't take him away from her, and she didn't try to separate herself from him.
According to this report I'm looking at, they're looking for $50 million.
Yes, $50 million.
Could you imagine if every time the police encountered some young couple on a camping trip that had an argument, if they arrested the guy and took the girl off to some shelter somewhere?
Oh, my God. Oh, they'd all be getting sued.
Well, how would people react to that? You can't do that. Like, young people get emotional, and while these were adults, they were young adults, they were older teenagers, right? So they still have hormones and chemicals in their body that it's all natural, that the reaction that they're having where they don't get along with each other. It's cat and dogs, it's an old story,
By the way, if you don't want to feel the same kind of pain that Gabby's parents are feeling, then you better not vote for any Republicans, because if you do, your kids will be murdered and democracy will die. And you want that on you? I don't think you do.
No.
We've just found out, just in the last 24 hours, that if you don't vote for Democrats, your kids will be killed.
Ladies and gentlemen, NBC News.
And a historian 50 years from now, if historians are allowed to write in this country, and if there are still free publishing houses and a free press, which I'm not certain of, but if that is true, a historian will say what was at stake tonight and this week was the fact whether we will be a democracy in the future, whether our children will be arrested and conceivably killed. We're on the edge of a brutal authoritarian system, and it could be a week away.
NBC News.
That's how important this election is. Your kids' lives are at stake here.
866 I love WJ. Clinton is calling us from Mississippi. Clinton, do you live near Jackson? Oh, I'm sorry. Wrong. Hang on a second here. Clinton, do you live near Jackson?
Yes, I do.
And what did you call to tell us? We were talking about how that's one of the most dangerous places in America. You had some thoughts on that.
Well, truth be told, guys, we don't hardly call it Jackson down here where we're from. It's more like Iraq, because every time you go into Jackson, you either got to worry about getting shot or getting mugged. It's freaking ridiculous.
Is there a nice part of Jackson? Like, where do the politicians live?
The nice part of Jackson is on the outskirts, where there's no government assistance. Where a lot of Democratic mayor Chukwueze Lumumba, I mean, he's a psycho. Wherever his reach can't get to it's about where it gets good. They've been dealing with a water crisis for the last 3 years, and his party has been responsible for trying to get it fixed and taken care of, and they can't even provide clean water for the people of Jackson to drink, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, we've heard about that controversy. The thing I don't get is, isn't there a governor's mansion? Isn't there a neighborhood where the lobbyists are? But I guess you just answered that.
Yeah, it's just a little bit out of whatever they can reach. It's a bunch of people passing the blame back and forth, and nothing gets done. Crime gets worse every year. As far as in Jackson, there is only one safe place, and that's the fairgrounds. And the only time there's any people there is during a livestock show, which the only people there are gun-toting Republicans who ain't going to take crap from nobody else.
My God, right.
And that's the kind of place where you could probably get a deep-fried Oreo, right, Clinton?
You damn right.
I mean, if you get murdered, but you get the deep-fried Oreo, give and take. Pros and cons, I say.
That's right. I like this old boy, but every time you say Clinton, I think of somebody else.
It's a different Clinton.
Yeah,
it's
first name, not last.
All right, let's go to Louisiana where Brian's on hold. Go ahead, Brian. What do you got for us?
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear, my man. Go ahead, Brian. What do you got for us?
Cool. So, a little bit unrelated, but something happened to me this morning. I felt as if I had to share. Scammers are getting very, very creative nowadays, because I was selling something through Facebook Marketplace, and I get messaged back, and they started, conversations going left and right, cool. All right, seemed legit at first, but Then they told me that, like, okay, what's your, like, it was starting to be finalized. They told me, what's your Zelle email? And Zelle's a pretty legit company to use.
Sure, for online transactions, right?
Correct. Well, next thing you know, he sends the money, but I don't get it through the Zelle app or through my Chase Bank app or anything. I get it through an email instead with no links, no nothing or anything. And I told him, like, hey, what's up with this? I mean, I didn't really get anything. Okay, you don't have a business account. I'm sending you an additional $200 that you will have to refund me in order to set. I'm like, wait, whoa, hold on.
Oh, boy.
So just felt as if I'd share that story. And now I told him he's been telling me that he's reporting me to the FBI. And when I clicked on profile, the dude is from Bulgaria.
Yep, there you go.
Yep, buyer beware. Carpe diem, right? Buyer beware?
Yeah, no, Brian, I've heard similar stories to this. Yeah, Carpe diem. Yes, buyer beware. Thank you very much for that, Mr. Kenneth. Ted is in Lake Charles, Louisiana. What is on your mind, Ted?
Hey, how y'all doing this morning? I wanted to call in with the election coming up, midterms and different governor races, especially out in Georgia. I plan on Governor Brian Kemp kicking Stacey Abrams' ass, but is the gap that he wins by going to be larger than the gap in her mouth?
Did he say especially a while ago?
He did. People get, but then he said something funny, so we'll let it slide. I've done that.
Not quite so it's not especially, is it, Kenny?
I know. I've been attacked for that as well. It's a Midwest thing, you know, because people in New Orleans will say, "Let me ask you something," and it's like, "All right, well, that's a New Orleans thing. Give them a break. They're just products of their community, you know."
That's true. That's fair.
Especially people from Metairie. 866 I love WJ.
Specifically, that one issue.
Well, yeah, okay, sure. You know, it's irregular, but you're right.
We are anonymous. We are Legion. Expect us.
Walton and Johnson Radio Network.
866 I love WJ. If you're just turning on your radio, a little bit earlier we were talking about the Gabby Petito case and how her family is now suing these police in Utah. And, you know, not to get real long in the tooth here about what we just said, but basically our take on it was, it's horrible what happened to Gabby and her family, but was it the Utah police's problem? I mean, it wasn't their fault.
Or their responsibility to separate those two when they didn't ask to be separated?
Could you imagine in this city, if we punished a government official every time somebody got violently attacked by a guy who had just had an encounter with the police and then was let go?
Oh, boy. Maybe you've heard about the most recent crime attack in New York City.
New York City?
Yeah, they should have got a rope earlier. A woman was attacked, I think sexually assaulted in what they called the heart of New York City.
Okay.
I think that's the Village.
The Village. I
don't know what the heart
Greenwich
is.
Village? Or?
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
Turns out the criminal here was a vagrant with 25 priors.
Okay, if
25 times! Now, if anybody's going to sue anybody over anything like that, they ought to be suing the governor, the mayor, the police chief, and everybody that's responsible for this kind of thing.
Exactly. If Gabby Petito's parents have a case here against the Utah police, that would mean there's hundreds of people in our city who have a family member that was murdered by somebody that just got let out of jail.
Free on bond, free on bond, free on bond.
Guys, it just doesn't work like that. Bobby is in Baton Rouge. She had some comments. Go ahead, Bobby. What do you want to say?
Yeah, as I recall, I watched the video. It was very long, a quite long video.
Right.
If I remember correctly, they actually did separate them, and she went to a hotel, and he was told not to contact her.
That is what happened.
And then later on,
they got back together. He's right. No, Bobby, you're 100% correct about that. That is what happened. Yep. They got into a fight. He took the van, and she went and spent the night at a hotel, and then the next day they got back together. That's exactly what happened. So again, it doesn't change the point that we were making.
You know, there's always that one listener who doesn't know when we're kidding. James is that listener this morning.
What were we kidding about?
I said, you know, buyer beware, carpe diem. And he had to...
Carpe diem means seize the day.
He had to email us to tell us it means seize the day. James.
Yes, exactly.
Sorry you don't get me sometimes. I just like to
play around sometimes. Clearly, carpe diem does not mean buyer beware.
No, obviously not.
No.
Absolutely not. It means,
especially in this case,
it means the soup is free if you pay for the entree. That's obviously what it means. But 866 I love WJ. John's on hold. We're taking a lot of calls this morning, more than usual. John, what'd you call to say?
I just called to say I think we're looking at this whole Democratic fight on crime different. If they can get every woman to look like Lizzo, it's going to be a lot harder to kidnap them and a lot harder to kill them. Now, Billy Ed, who would you rather take, Tulsi Gabbard or Lizzo when you kidnap her and sexually assault her?
I ain't answering that question.
Do not answer that question.
No, sir.
Our advertisers are begging you not to answer that question.
We did get another email I thought was pretty good. A guy emailed us. He said, I hear all these Democrats talking about how terrible things are and how much worse it's going to get if you vote for a Republican. He said, do the Democrats not know that they are running the country? They don't act like it.
Yeah, they're in charge of everything right now.
But maybe not for much longer. I don't know if y'all noticed, because you were probably all looking at the World Series, but Trump had an appearance last night up in Sioux City. Is that in Iowa?
It is, yeah.
He was getting the crowd pretty fired up when he was up there, giving his little speech last night. I wonder what he said that got the crowd so excited.
All right, so it sounds like apparently he is, well, here, why don't I just let him tell you? Hold on one second. Let me turn this up here.
In order to make our country successful and safe and glorious, I will very, very, very probably do it again, okay? Very,
and the crowd goes wild.
very, very,
Very likely.
Very, very probably. Boy, they really seem to like that. I thought Trump was toxic and that nobody wanted to get near him.
You wouldn't believe some of the horrible, extremist things he was saying last night at this rally, talking about your freedoms and your safety and
that's nice. Well,
being a good American.
Get ready. That's
patriot.
all I'm telling you.
Get ready.
He says get ready there.
I also said that, and he has mentioned this once or twice before in the last year, he's already run twice and won twice.
And then he did better the second time.
Yeah, he did.
But that was when the great steal happened. Marjorie Taylor Greene, a friend of the show, was also at that rally.
The only crime victim you hear about from Democrats and the media is Paul Pelosi.
It's true. Yeah, Boo Pelosi.
Paul Pelosi was brutally attacked by a drugged out illegal alien that should have been deported. And Paul Pelosi should have been a gun owner and shot his attacker.
But he didn't.
I love it. Marjorie.
And she's right. It's the only crime we hear about is crime against Democrats. The rest of it, kind of just, don't worry about that. Don't look at that. Don't pay attention to that. Let's talk about something else.
All right, while we're playing great sound bites from yesterday, here is Arizona gubernatorial candidate Kari Lake.
But I was a little concerned today, I'm going to be honest, when I saw Hillary Clinton bad-mouthing me, and she looked angry and actually scared and just completely unrelated. I want you to know, just in case you're wondering, I'm in perfect health. My brakes on my car are in good shape, and I'm not suicidal.
Kari Lake is probably the last person you want to attack because she is great at firing back, defending herself and explaining herself. Hillary, when the clip she was talking about, she was visiting with Joy Reid on MSNBC earlier this week.
Right.
And she said the ill-informed American populace is the reason for the rising fortunes of the Republican Party. And she questions whether all of us idiots and ignoramuses and deplorables out here in the world really understand what a red wave would mean to this country. And one of the guys in the clip wrote back in his response, he said, yeah, it would mean no more Hillary. Wouldn't that be great?
Sounds pretty good to me.
I'm just sick of having to hang out with this three-balled jackass from the state of Massachusetts.
Walton and Johnson Radio Network.
Just real quick, off the top of your head, can you think of any law enforcement institution in this country who has had more run-ins with more killers than the Utah Police Department?
Wait, what?
Starts with F.
I mean, yeah.
B.
Okay.
Can I buy an I?
FBI, yeah.
They have told us themselves that they had contact with almost all of these mass shooters for years and did nothing about it. Why isn't anybody suing the FBI the way Gabby's parents are suing the Moab Police Department?
It makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense.
Just sick up to here, just fed up with it. Nope, up to here. That's actually over your head.
It is a little.
Yeah, it's over. I'm swamped. I'm drowning in it.
But it's infuriating, isn't it? Doesn't
FBI, yeah, things that are useless in the year 2022. There's a list.
Well, what is the
Floppy
FBI?
disks, payphones, videotapes. FBI. Useless.
Well, you're right. I mean, what do they do if they can't stop mass shooters and terrorists and people that they knew were going to commit crimes?